Let's explore how breathing exercises could ultimately fail everyone. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. Box breathing and 478 breathing both stress me out. Is how the question begins. It then continues. I can't tell if I'm doing something wrong or if it just doesn't work for me. My heart rate increases substantially after breathing in and holding my breath. Then while breathing out, it feels like let's see here. Let's go over here and there we go. Then while breathing out, it feels like I don't have enough air in me to get out, and I feel the need to breathe out quickly. My heart rate doesn't really go back to normal either. And the entire time I'm trying these techniques, it feels like I'm doing every part of the process too slowly for my own comfort. I tried box breathing and 3-second intervals and 3-6-7 breathing, but it doesn't really help me. All right, so let us begin with broad brushstrokes. Is there something wrong with you? No. Actually, you possess an uncommon degree of sensory acuity, which, although inconvenient, is really telling. One moment, if you please. Trying to get myself all situated. So I'm going to jump ahead to an image, if you will. So this is an artist's simplified rendering of the cross-section of a human brain, this being the forehead. Now, when we do pranayama or box breathing, whether we know it or not, we are asking our central nervous system to concentrate. The only way to concentrate is to use very precise mechanisms within the front of our brain, such as the medial prefrontal cortex or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Now, I don't want to poop all over the prefrontal cortex. Number one, that is frowned upon in polite society. Number two, it's quite useful. I mean, if you want to sort, compare, contrast, calculate, or edit, if you want to do detail work, then this is the tool for you. But ask any trainer, ask any good coach, and they'll tell you that there's a difference between training and overtraining. Overtraining, if you practice training properly, you increase your returns. If you practice overtraining, first you experience the law of diminishing returns. And if you ignore that and you just push through because you were a graduate of Bro Science University, then you will soon drink deep of injury, perhaps even disability, which I do not recommend. But how does that relate to something as innocent as concentration? Glad you asked. Our brain, did you know that our brain consumes the lion's share of our body's glucose? Just sitting there in the dark, in our skull, between our ears, all its pistons are firing. And so, yes, concentrating requires effort. And when we cross a certain threshold, our amygdala begins activating. in terms, in the language of functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, this bad boy lights up like a Christmas tree. That's the second time my chin has hit the mic. I apologize. So let's continue. So this amygdala, located in the metaphoric basement of our limbic system, functions as the seat of anxiety and aggression, pretty much antithetical to peace. Would you not agree? But wait, there's more. If you're smart, you'll say, hey, I'm feeling some anxiety. I'm feeling some aggression. Maybe I need to give myself a rest. Maybe I need a tall glass of water. Maybe I need to lie down and watch kitty cat videos. But if we ignore that and we continue to abuse our prefrontal cortex, then we can exhaust it to the point where eventually we begin to present with symptoms of depression, which I would not wish on anybody. Now, if you are in a life and death situation, if you are on if you're a commando on an extraction mission and you lives are in the balance, then yes, your job description is to put yourself in harm's way. And that would include box breathing. It gets the job done, but at a premium. Same thing with pranayama. Pranayama, and I have total respect for the spiritual pioneers who began experimenting with pranayama so many centuries ago. But the difference between a great spiritual explorer and a bad spiritual explorer comes down to the courage to notice the results their techniques are giving them, and then based on that results to modify their approach. That's what separates the adults from the children. So we've learned that pranayama and box breathing excite our amygdala and could eventually exhaust our prefrontal cortex. But if you showed up in the meditation subreddit, or if you showed up on my live stream, hello, then you probably are interested in meditation and mindfulness, and you want more peace and joy and love and resilience. I've got such a deal for you. It's all about using a different portion of our central nervous system. Say hello to my little friend, the sympathetic nervous system, located in the middle third of our spinal cord. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access this sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved specifically to help us to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. So now there's a bit of a dark side, and I don't want to just blow rainbows up your nose and out your ears, although that would make a great cartoon. Here's the deal. We are wired to perceive all manner of things. We are wired to spontaneously and passively and randomly perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We are also wired to perceive emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We are wired to perceive so many things. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, that could feel overwhelming, sometimes more than others, but there's some good news. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired, thanks to evolution, to access our parasympathetic nervous system, located in both the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now, it's known by many names. We could call this perceiving and releasing. We could call this mindfulness and meditation. We could refer to this as the seventh and the eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. You could call it Fred and Ethel if you want. It don't matter. We're still wired to do this. Now, a really understandable question would be this. Dude, if I already have an autonomic nervous system, why do I gotta sit down with my legs crossed and my posture impeccable? And the word Urkel. Remember Urkel? Did I do that? Good-hearted kid, super clever, klutzy as hell. Consider our brain. Due to a quirk of evolution, it's got so many mechanisms going on at the same time. It's kind of like the ultimate Swiss Army knife. But there's a way we can navigate the three-ring circus that is our central nervous system. It's super easy. When we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, our brain begins spontaneously cooperating with our sympathetic nervous system. Similarly, when we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, this exact same brain finds itself cooperating with the parasympathetic nervous system. How wild is that? So, by using self-talk, we are able to align our volition with our autonomic nervous system in a way that helps us to be the peaceful, mellow, joyful, loving, resilient person that we want to be. I look forward to actually practicing and chanting with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let's see. I think I'm going to tap button 9. So, oopsie, come on, coordination, don't fail me now. So let's play with the latest iteration of the sadhana version of the Song of Enlightenment, written by, forgive my pronunciation, Yongjie Shuanjui's. And that's this fellow here. And so I think I'm going to edit it so it's not obscured by my big old face. So I think I'm going to put this in brackets. Whoa, good grief, look at that. And I'm going to remove the and I'm going to hit the old cut and paste and remove the brackets. Excellent. And that should work much better. All right, it was translated into English by a fellow known as Red Pine. It has been adapted and amplified by yours truly. Let's set intention by chanting Love and Letting Go's wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. Doing so helps us to exercise the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all minds of all beings are yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as the Buddha's mind. Now, actually, I think it's actually superior to change the sequencing. So let's do that right quick. Let's hit paste and cut. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. And let's go to add. All right. May all minds of all beings are yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as our Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. Let's see. Let's hit paste. Cowabunga. All right. So I'm going to see if the page save worked. Fabulous. I'm going to quickly copy something because that's how I roll. Let us chant together the first portion of the 9th verse. People do not notice the wish-fulfilling jewel among jewels, waiting for them in the Buddha nature's Tathagata Garbha. Quick explanation. Learning to let go of that which we notice, as if they were as non-graspable as a vast empty void, is so important to Shakyamuni's path that it is like the womb within which Buddhas gestate. Most folks do not recognize how effective training in letting go could be like a wish-fulfilling jewel or Aladdin's lamp. So Tathagata Garbha refers to either Buddha nature or Buddha womb. And wish-fulfilling, and so having said that, let's again recite the first portion. People do not notice the wish-fulfilling jewel among jewels, waiting for them in the Buddha nature's Tathagata Garbha. Oh, Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha could also refer to Buddha essence. Its sixfold power is neither empty nor not. Its perfect light neither visible nor not. But bear in mind, that enlightenment's path has many sidetracks. Both can be avoided by valuing both conventional reality. These can be avoided by valuing both conventional reality as well as its ultimate counterpart, inhalation's awareness and exhalation's release. Now that we have a clue as to what this means, together as a team, let's recite it in its entirety. People do not notice the wish-fulfilling jewel among jewels, waiting for them in the Buddha nature's Tathagata garden. Its sixfold power is neither empty nor not, its perfect light neither visible nor not. So, sixfold powers is a reference to the Heart Sutra's way of organizing our ability to perceive sight, sound, sensations, flavors, sense, as well as mind. Mind, of course, can be elaborated into emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagining. And now let's meditate. Please chant with me. We purify the 5 roots of hating, craving, confusion, competing, and clinging that we passively notice during or inhalation, and acquire the 5 abilities of the wisdoms that are mirror like the sun. Take 2. And we acquire the 5 abilities of the wisdoms that are mirror like discerning, basic, all accomplishing and equalizing as we relax into our exhalation. Basic, I think, is an unfortunate choice of words. Only then will you understand what cannot be measured. Through the lens of the wisdom of letting go, how could one purify the 5 roots of belief, devotion, recalling the teachings, meditation, and wisdom? by vulnerably, passively, and randomly noticing their presence or absence during our inhalation. And then by mentally releasing during our physically relaxing exhalation. Excuse me. So now let's chant again, now that we have some perspective. We purify the 5 roots of hating, craving, confusion, competing, and clinging that we passively notice during our inhalation. We acquire the 5 abilities of the wisdoms that are mirror-like, discerning, all pervasive, all accomplishing and equalizing as we relax into our exhalation. Only then will you know what cannot be measured. An image in a mirror is not hard to see, but hard to grab the moon in the water. For it is not what we experience that frees us, but rather what we do with that which we experience. Be it external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque. And now that we have a bit of a clue, let's chat the whole thing together. We purify the 5 roots of hating, craving, confusion, competing, and clinging that we passively notice during our inhalation, and acquire the 5 abilities of the wisdoms that are mirror-like, discerning, all pervasive, all accomplishing and equalizing as we relax into our exhalation. Only then will you know what cannot be measured. An image in a mirror is not hard to see, but try to grab the moon in the water. Please chant with me. Setting out, walking alone. Those who arrive take the Nirvana road. Primates are not solitary creatures. We evolved to cooperate. It is therefore not surprising that the prospect of walking a path alone could feel somewhat daunting. For in one discourse, the Buddha teaches that the entirety of the path is fellowship with the like-minded. But in another teaching explains that it is better to walk the path alone than in the company of a fool. We, however, could take comfort in the realization that our samsaric perception of loneliness could be soothed by our nirvanic release. Armed with that insight, let us recite this quatrain together a second time. Setting out alone, walking alone. Those who arrive take the Nirvana road. Their appearance ancient, their manner detached, ragged and gaunt, they are not noticed. Samsara's path of perception and Nirvana's path of cessation are neither glamorous nor prestigious. Rather, it is marked by peace and quite often anonymity. Armed with this insight, let us together recite this verse or chant this verse in its entirety. Setting out alone, walking alone. Those who arrive take the Nirvana road. Their appearance ancient, their manner detached, ragged and gaunt, they are not noticed. Welcome to this morning's live stream, where we alternate between chanting and meditating, which is ideal for those of us who are neurodivergent, as it adds a splash of dopamine to our experience. Please chant with me. Disciples without means they are called poor, poor in possessions but not in freedom. Despite the ravings of prosperity gurus and New Thought charlatans, poverty is not an indictment. Let us repeat. Disciples without means they are called poor, poor in possessions but not in freedom. Being poor, of course they wear hemp. Their practice is treasuring the jewel within. Although shabby on the surface, in their hearts they cherish their capacity to notice, let go, and love. That constitutes their Buddha nature. That is our real wish-fulfilling jewel, our Aladdin's lamp. Armed with this insight, let us recite this passage in its entirety. Disciples without means they are called poor, poor in possessions but not in freedom. Being poor, of course they wear hemp. The practice is treasuring the jewel within. All right, so let's do the old pastoruni. As we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun during our inhalation, we can vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly notice the antics of mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. As we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we can relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Good morning. Welcome to the live stream. Like the pendulum of a grandfather clock, we're going to swing back and forth between recitation and meditation. For that makes it much more accessible for those of us who are neurodivergent. Please chant with me. The priceless wish of healing, jewel of noticing and releasing with inexhaustible uses. Never withholds its help or response. Well, it looks like I'm not sure that fits on the page. No, it doesn't. So, quick like a bunny. I'm going to do a quick edit. Okay. The priceless wish of an angel of noticing and releasing with inexhaustible uses never withholds its help or response. Our birthrights of perception, release, and empathy are a cornucopia of blessings, a source of every good quality, and a profoundly useful tool. Armed with this insight, let us return to the passage. The priceless wish of healing, jewel of noticing and releasing. Try again. The priceless wish of healing, jewel of noticing and releasing with inexhaustible uses never withholds its help or response. The three bodies of the mastery of awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as love and letting go. And four insights of stress, empathy, change, and not self are present within. The 8 freedoms and 6 powers all mark the mind. The unions of awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as love and letting go. And their dance of insight into suffering, compassion, impermanence, and selflessness are also the source of our freedoms from the tyranny of hating, craving, confusion, barbarism, idiocy, competitiveness, clinging in the absence of a Buddha. Additionally, they are our source of mindfulness, of sight, sound, sensations, flavors, sense, and mind. The latter of which includes emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and fantasies, all of which empower our mastery of the Buddha's path. All that we need to know less master upon the Buddha's path is made available to us through the easy practice of awareness and release. Armed with this insight, let's together recite the verse. The priceless wish of healing, jewel of noticing and releasing with inexhaustible uses never withholds its help or response. The three bodies of the mastery of awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as love and letting go. And the four insights of stress, empathy, change, and not self all present within. The 8 freedoms and 6 powers all mark the mind. One moment. Gifted people embrace all concerning the way at once. Lesser minds hear about are not enthusiastic. Paraphrasing the Tao Te Ching, Yongjie Xuan Jue observed a lack of enthusiasm amongst the majority of humanity. Let's continue. Gifted people embrace it all concerning the way at once. Lesser minds hear but are not enthusiastic. Thinking about superficialities like changing their clothes. They claim they are making incremental progress. A fool boasts doing the bare minimum, forgetting that a Buddha's paradise or Pure Land is now or never. Gifted people embrace it all concerning the way at once. Lesser minds hear but are not enthusiastic. Thinking about superficialities like changing their clothes. They claim they are making incremental progress. The Buddha's path was always supposed to be a sudden path. Let people mock and others speak ill of the Buddha's quick path. Now I'm going to check to make sure that fits on the page all right. Let them tire themselves out trying to bend the sky. People can be cruel, and victims can become villains. Ironically, even in the name of wisdom, peace, love, and joy. But what if the foolish and the cruel were not our enemies, but rather their own, harming themselves even more than they could ever harm us? Let people mock and others speak ill of Buddha's quick path. Let them tire themselves out trying to bend the sky. Vulnerably hearing their words is like tasting sweet dew. I swallow into my relaxing exhalation and suddenly enter the inconceivable. The pain induced by others' cruelty can wake us up from the thrall of the trivial, reminding us to notice sounds and emotions and then let them go. Let people mock and others speak ill of Buddha's quick path. Let them tire themselves out trying to bend the sky. Vulnerably hearing their words is like tasting sweet dew. I swallow into my relaxing exhalation and suddenly enter the inconceivable. So I'm going to take a quick photograph so we know where to begin the next session. Together, let us seal the practice by chanting love and letting go's universal wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as our Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as our Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.